What's up, Broncos Country? It is another beautiful week of summer. I believe we're at the beginning of summer, yeah. It is another beautiful week. It is warm out. The sun's been out. People are getting in their pools now. It's after Memorial Day. Hope y'all had a safe and happy Memorial Day weekend. But now it's time for us to settle back into work and settle back into the Broncos and the Denver Nuggets. Let's talk about it. Here we go.
Nothing wrong with Orange and Blue podcast.
Oh yeah!
Oh yeah.
Yeah!
What's up, bud? Hey, everybody. This is the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast, and I am your host, Johnny Baki, and I am joined, as always, by my cousin, Jay Weaver. What's up, Jay? How was your week, cuz? Did you have a safe weekend?
Yeah, dude. Not too shabby at all. Wasn't barraged with sports, which is kind of a nice thing to just kind of have some open time for leisure activities.
Speak for yourself.
To be spent with the family and to just do leisure activities. But you know what? We got Denver Nuggets ready for their opponent. The Miami Heat are coming to town. Ready to go. 'Tis the season.
I mean, okay.
We're jazzed.
I'm going to say the same thing we were saying. Okay, first of all, couple cool statistics, right? The Denver Nuggets, by sweeping the Los Angeles Lakers, I still get heart palpitations every time I hear it. I say it. By sweeping the Lakers in 4 games, the Nuggets had 9 days to prepare for the finals. Only 2 teams in history, and I can't remember who they were, have had longer to prepare for the finals than the Nuggets had. Only 2 in history, and they only had 1 more day, and that was 10 days total. All right, so that's pretty freaking phenomenal. All right, the Nuggets easily the odds-on favorite in Vegas to win the finals. They are. I think they're what negative right now. Negative. We are favored by 315.
I was going to say, yeah, it's over 300, and I hope anyone got their bets in on the Nuggets before that Lakers series was ending, because now everyone has clung on to the darlings that are the Nuggets.
And if you got your bets in back then, you're gonna be making better money. Believe me.
Oh, dude, I got a small bet in at the beginning of the regular season. I got a bet in it already for the Broncos for the Super Bowl. It's just kind of, you place a couple doll hairs on your team. You never know. This happens.
Yeah, well, Jay, you might make out. You might make out.
Plus 2,200 odds at the beginning of the year.
Yep. And now we are favored by 315 points.
Isn't that weird?
Win it all. Isn't that fun? So I love it. And another cool fact is, well, I mean, obviously, like I said, the Nuggets had 9 days to prepare. The Celtics, by the Celtics forcing Game 7, the Heat only have 3 days to rest and
they
repair.
Never even went home.
They never even went home. They went straight from Boston to Denver. So it's kind of unprecedented. It works out really great in our favor. We have home court advantage through the 7 games if necessary. If necessary. Obviously it helps against any team that plays at sea level. We have the altitude advantage. Having the home court advantage over a 7-game series, which is pretty amazing. I mean, it feels like everything is working in our favor. It's working for us.
It's the year.
It is
the year.
Yes, and I'm going to be honest with you. If the Nuggets they're going to win it all. But if somehow, by some sheer happenstance, the Nuggets drop this, it was theirs to lose.
I thought about this. I really did. In a realistic fashion, how could I see, because I've watched this team and the Heat the entire year, it would take Jokic and Murray both getting hurt for the Nuggets to lose, because I truly believe if Jokic gets hurt and doesn't play the series, Jamal Murray could win the series by himself.
Yes, he could.
And the other way around.
With our bench depth, this team is so complete compared to the Miami Heat.
By far.
I mean, they've got Jimmy Buckets. Congratulations.
He's a dog, but you know who else is a dog? AG. And AG will tear down any dog. Anyone. Yes.
And of course, you can't forget about our shooters in KCP and Michael Porter Jr. It's just, this team just hits too much. Okay. And like I said, they're going to be so rested going into this.
Yeah.
It's the longest rest. It's the longest rest they've had all season.
Yep. It's the longest rest in NBA history going into the finals for one team. 4-game sweep, 7-game on the other side, and it's dramatic, I guess, time zone swing as well. So it's setting up, setting up the way you would want it 100% as a Nuggets fan. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And I mean, there's everything's going our way for it. So, we're all gonna wish our Nuggets to the end. We're gonna ride it till the end, man, because that's I'm without words. I'm so excited about this finals, and I'm not even gonna lie, I'm strutting around the office right now every day, like a rooster, just like, how about them Nuggets? Everybody's like, hey Johnny, how you doing today? I'm like, the Nuggets are in the finals. How do you think I'm doing?
Yeah,
and everybody's like, I have people being like, are you actually really even a Nuggets fan? And I'm like, go look at my desk. My desk at work, it's a mixture of Denver Broncos flags and I even have a little Denver Nuggets hoop hung up on the wall that I shoot in while I'm sitting at my computer reading the screen. And I've got, my little Jamal Murray Funko Pop sitting up on the shelf. And I'm like, am I a Nuggets fan? Nope. Yes, I am very real. Okay. So, dude, I'm just so pumped. I'm so pumped. And we're only 2 days away from watching really only about one.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Well, from watching our Nuggets take their very first tip off in the finals in the franchise's history. What? It's unreal. It feels unreal. So I'm excited. It's good to see Avatar already in the comments saying, what's up, Broncos Country and Nuggets Nation? He also said, you pulled it up a second ago, Jay, but Charles Barkley guaranteed the Nuggets to win the finals.
He's been on that train for a long time. I give Sir Charles his due on this.
I do too. I've never always been the biggest fan about Charles's, choices, and sometimes I think it's terrible. Sometimes I think his takes is terrible. But this season, I have been so against anything Shaq has had to say, and
Shaq don't even try anymore.
He really don't. But I mean, but you know why? You know why Shaq is so like anti-Nuggets this season? Because he hates seeing a big man like Joker get his dues, the dues that he thinks he deserved.
Yep.
And I'm like, you were great. You were a great center. You were a great big man. You couldn't shoot for shit, but you were a great rebounder, and you played physical defense. You were great. But Joker's better. I'm sorry.
Jokic is what Shaquille O'Neal would want to be.
Joker is what every single big man in a game of basketball should strive to be.
Yeah, I mean,
and not just on the court, off the court, the kind of human being that he is, the humility, the kindness.
The dude, he is. I've said this on Twitter multiple times. He is my favorite sports hero now with FOPA. Just in the type of person they are off
nothing but class.
Field. Like
nothing but class.
I just respect every single part of them. They're just amazing humans.
I respect his game. I respect his game because it's obviously the best there is, at least at his position.
Yeah.
By a far. But on top of that all, he's just such a phenomenal person. He is a class act. I mean, we're so humble. You know, they come up and they ask him. I say this every week, you guys, and I know it probably it's getting old, but when they interview him and they're like, "Oh, Joker, you didn't get your 7th triple-double of the series tonight. How does that make you feel?" And he's like, "I was just here to play the game. Like I was here to play the best. I was here to play the game. My team showed up. We won. That's what matters." And and I love that. There's no I've never heard anything ever from him that it's about me. It's always about winning the game. If that means that he ends the game with 4 points on the board, 6 rebounds, and 1 assist, he's gonna take that because they won.
Dude, my guy D-Line today on Twitter said something along the lines of the most motivated player in this series is Nikola Jokic. Not because he wants success, but because he's just sick of playing basketball and wants to go back to his horses. So, Nuggets in 4.
A good friend of the show, D-Line, there saying that.
The most disinterested superstar. Like, dude, I just want to go back home. Like,
I only disagree. I disagree, though. It's not that he's disinterested. He loves playing basketball.
He does.
It's just that the way that's part. I think that's part of his persona that is just. It is that shows that humility. Is he's the best in the world in a lot of ways, and everybody is constantly telling him that, and he's just like, okay,
whatever.
It's so nonchalant. It's not that he doesn't like playing basketball. That guy loves the game, and I think if it was taken away from him, he would lose his mind.
Absolutely,
but absolutely, he definitely exudes that he doesn't give a shit. You know, it's just like, okay, I could have been out on the done a pickup game at the park, and I cared the same. Yeah, I'm playing basketball. That's what I do.
He will appreciate him while we have him because he's gonna be someone that just disappears when he's done. He's gonna retire to never be seen again. And that just is what it is.
Probably, yeah. And Avatar says Michael Malone has been to Jokic's house in Serbia many times.
The crew of DNVR had a whole documentary this offseason.
Yeah.
Went to his house, presented him the MVP trophy. They had a whole ceremony. It's a touching thing. They're connected. This whole franchise.
This franchise. You feel like
Jokic.
Well, it's not just him though. I mean, you feel like as a team, not only do they gel and mesh on the court in terms of playing the game, but you get this you can see it in their interaction on the bench. You can see it, on the court warming up. They're a family. They're a brotherhood. It's a culture. It's a group that would go out bowling after a game just because, hey, why not?
Yep.
You get that feeling about them. And real quick, I want to ask you, what in the hell is with Christian Brown and his frozen backpack? What is this?
So that was a rookie thing. He was made to do that as a rookie. So that's a part of his rookie hazing.
That was his hazing? Okay.
KCP was the one that made him do that.
Okay.
But still, hilarious, and it fits him perfectly.
Well, I think wasn't it? Didn't I read something that like after the regular season was over, he was allowed to stop carrying it, but he's still carrying it
because it's good luck. I mean, like,
at this
you're
point,
the
like,
number
hey,
one seed.
Yeah, you're the number one seed.
that?
You're going to the finals. I'm gonna carry my Frozen backpack.
Heck yeah, man! Like,
next year I want to see one of them carrying a Cocoa Melon backpack. That,
it could happen.
It could happen.
I mean, Jokic could have a backpack for Pokemon. I mean, he has on air said that he just watches hours of Pokemon. Probably not now that he's a dad, but
yeah, and I like what Avatar said here because I agree with this. I talked about this last week. I think Jokic was hoping for Murray to win the Western Conference Finals MVP title. That tells you how humble he really is. I agree. Like you saw it, you could kind of see it for just a second when they announced Joker as the Western Conference Finals MVP. He smiled for a second, but then he kind of like looked over at Jamal, and Jamal was like jumping up and down for him and patting him on the shoulder and everything. But even I was saying I thought Jamal Murray earned that.
Jokic knows that. Jokic is the smartest person on that court. He knows exactly who won that game for them and who should be the MVP.
Who won 3 out of the 4 games for them in that series. Joker carried us, carried us, but it was Jamal that put us over the top.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Then he asks, did we see Joker's brother celebrating with Michael Malone? He looked like a rag doll in their hands.
Dude, yeah. I love the Joker brothers.
I love the Jokic brothers. I still remember the first time I really got a good look at them, and it was against the Heat last season. I don't remember who the player was. That whole thing. It was
the Morris twin.
Yes,
Marquise Morris.
Yes, Marquise Morris. When he shoved Joker.
Yeah.
And it was very dirty. And so Joker was like, you know what? I don't care who I am. You're not going to do that. And so he knocked him down. The Morris brothers were putting out death threats and stuff against Joker. And so his brothers, one of which, by the way, for those that don't know, is a professional UFC fighter, are in the stands. And you actually saw on TV as the Morris brothers stood up and like looked at Joker, and then you saw on the other side of the stands, Jokic's brothers stand up and lock eyes with them, and the camera kept panning back and forth like, what's about to happen? Yeah. It was hysterical.
They're, they look like, and this I'm sure is a total Americanized way of putting it, but like, they look like the kind of people that like you would see at like a Russian detainment camp that like.
Well, yeah, they look like they grew up in Serbia. They look like they grew up in war-torn Serbia. Yeah. That's the other thing. I'm like, dude, the Morris brothers, like, yeah, man, like in their tweets and stuff that after that whole thing, they're sitting there like, we street, man, we street. I'm like, they're Serbia, bro. Yeah, they're Serbia. Like, you don't want to mess with these guys
during wartime.
These guys literally grew up with bombs falling around their house. Don't even sit here and pretend that you know what, like, that you're hard in comparison.
Correct.
Like these guys. Oh my god, and they're funny. They're funny guys, all of them.
But
like Joker's humor.
Wouldn't you agree that Jokic, as the best player on that team, he set the tone for the culture of that franchise, and the reason why they are the way they are and where they are is because of his tone that he set.
Yeah, absolutely. He is the be-all, end-all of the Denver Nuggets.
Now spin that into the Denver Broncos and where we are today. And who is that person on our team that's going to step up to set that culture? Who is that guy?
It has to be Russell Wilson.
You would think so, right?
It has to be. So. No, if we're going to be successful, I'm not even going to say I'm going to think so. If we want to be successful, it has to be Russ.
I agree.
It has to be. I mean, you've got leaders in that locker room. Justin Simmons, absolutely a very polarizing figure, a very good, an amazing leader, a good friend of this show. We love Justin Simmons, but the most polarizing figure on that team, regardless, is always the quarterback. The quarterback is the indisputed leader of every football team, period. Yep. And
the greatest safeties in the entire world were still never the leaders of those teams. If you really
not entirely, they are leaders on the team. They are people that the whole team looks to and respects. but the be all end all is
You're
the
right.
quarterback, period. And Russ, I think he's going to do it. I've said it. I think we see the resurgence of Russ. I am very adamant about that. And I mean every word. I'm not just blowing smoke. I'm not just blowing orange smoke up your ass. The Russell Wilson will have his resurgence this season. He will come back, and he's had 5 months to watch his own tape over and over and be like, what the F was I doing? Why did this happen? How did this happen? And then sit there and go and obsess about it, because if there's one thing we do know about him, he's obsessive about the game of football. He has had 5 months to obsess over the worst season of his career.
With Sierra on tour, may I add? So there are
so
no
what else?
distractions.
Yeah. So what the heck else is he gonna do?
Yep.
But sit in his little theater room and just watch himself screw up over and over, and then go, I can't do that again. I won't let that happen again. And that's why we see, excuse me, I'm sorry. That is why we see in the press conferences and all the everything with him right now, we see a leaner, meaner looking Russell Wilson. I mean, like, he gained a lot of weight last season.
He did.
He really did. He got, like, he came into the last season. He came into 2022 thick. Yep. He did. You can't deny it. He came in thick. But especially after his friend, and who also happened to be his mental coach, died in the middle of the season, which a lot of people don't know about that. And I'm not going to go crazy into it because that's a pretty personal subject, even for a celebrity, but even for an athlete or celebrity. But, you know, his mental health coach was one of his best friends outside of their professional relationship. He died mid-season. And I think Russ really struggled with that, because you literally saw him starting to pack on the pounds when that happened.
Well, I mean, his strategy going into last year, he admitted this, was to be a pocket passer. You know, was to reinvent himself.
And it didn't work.
As a pocket passer, why would you need to be thin and, you know, ready to be mobile? So he's got a different mindset of his strategy going into this offseason, regardless of all of his personal stuff. But it is amazing to see the determination in his eyes that he looks like a different person. You see his face.
He doesn't look defeated.
He got that fire in his eyes. Like,
everybody's like, "Oh, Russ is done. Russ is defeated." What defeat? I don't see it.
No,
at all. No.
He looks very locked in.
He's
very
focused.
Thankful to Sean Payton. Here's what I think is, I think Sean Payton went up to him and said, "Guess what? You're going to be a quarterback, and that's all you have to worry about. Just do what I say, and I just trust me. I'll put you in the right position." So now Russ gets to actually go back to the basics and do what Russ wants to do.
Do what Russ is. No, not even what he wants to do. Because we saw how disastrous it is when Russ just does what he wants to do.
You're right.
Do what Russ is good at.
Yes.
Like, you tried to reinvent the wheel and you built a square. It doesn't roll, okay? Like, you tried to reinvent the wheel. I hate to go, but buddy, we love you, Avatar. We'll catch you next time, brother. But no, Russ tried to reinvent the wheel, and he came out with a square on an axle that doesn't turn. Yep. Okay, so now guess what? Go back to the damn wheel. It's that simple. Right. You are a 9-time Pro Bowler, and you did that by doing one thing, and that's what you were great at. If it ain't broke, don't effing fix it.
Yep.
And that's what Sean Payton's doing.
It is. And here's an interesting thing, though. And D-Rock in the house.
Yeah, buddy!
First comment. Over under 4,000 passing yards for Dangerous. So I have a question here for you, Johnny. This is a kind of a piggyback off of this, because I think this is kind of an arbitrary line in the sand for like a goal for next year. Sure. I personally think the offense is going to be run-focused, run-heavy, and Russ will be successful with not throwing the ball. Like, we're going to be successful
I was going
without.
under. I was going under.
Exactly. Me as well.
Now, do I think he will? Do I think he will have his passes? He will have some amazing, phenomenal passes? Yes, I do. Russell Wilson is is top quarterback of all time when playing when under play action. Yep, he is. He is the top quarterback of all time while in a play action scheme. Okay. You run the ball, you run the ball, you run the ball. You run it down their damn throats. That's what Pete Carroll did with Marshawn Lynch over and over. Marshawn Lynch was in that, would run it down their throats over and over and over, and then Russ would step into the play action and complete glorious and miraculous looking passes. It's going to be the same thing. Javonte Williams, by the way, we've seen him. He's on the field. He's in his gear. Yes, he's still working back into it, but the point is he's out there. He's got
a robo leg.
Yeah, that is a long way to come for a guy who had a bilateral a side-by-side ACL PCL tear. Okay, that's incredible. The fact that he's even out there. Randy Gregory is still warming up over on the other field wearing a sweatshirt. Okay,
well, that's mental.
but Pookie's on the field with the team in his uniform. Like, this is great. And then you bring in, and whether Jay likes him or not, Samaj P. Ryan is a bruiser.
Boo!
Shut your dirty mouth.
Speaking of the running back position, Johnny.
Yes, well, we were definitely going to talk about positions of strength tonight. That's the title of the show.
Well, we got 2 more days here till June 1st cuts, and then we'll see where the dust settles. That's going to be the running back room. That is going to be the mover.
What name do you predict gets cut post June 1st at that position that Denver can pounce upon?
I think there is something to be said about Ezekiel Elliott coming.
Zeke?
I think
Zeke's washed, dude.
But that is an opinion, yes, but he's still a brand name out there. And he is
so is Terrell Davis. And so is Terrell Davis, currently at almost 60 years old. I'm not bringing him to my team.
Yeah, but Zeke is going to get some looks. Like, he is in some eyes, top talent of the NFL in his position. I don't believe so either. I agree with you. But that's a name I think that's going to be out there as a vet. And I think for a trade perspective, I still do not believe that Minnesota is done with this whole Dalvin Cook.
I was about to say Dalvin Cook is something's going on. Something's going to happen. No,
it is. So
all right. So happen, man. This is before that's a perfect caveat into the main topic of tonight's show. But before we do that, guys, we got to give a shout out to the sponsor of tonight's show, and that is Dubby Jitterless Energy Blend. Guys, jump on over. You can catch it in the bio below, dubby.gg, and get yourself the Jitterless Energy Blend. Guys, this stuff is incredible. 1 scoop contains at least 2 cups of coffee worth of caffeine, but it has no calories, no sugar, no maltodextrin, no fillers, and no artificial colors. All the other stuff that's in it is just vitamins, amino acid, nootropics. It is fantastic. I'm telling you, hang on. I'm gonna bring one more thing up here. I want you to see their product, because the product the products they're selling are so good. It's high quality stuff. I mean, look at this. It comes right now in 7 delicious flavors. You have the Dragonade, the Colo Cream, which is their newest flavor. It's a orange cream and mango. You have the Push and Punch, the Beach and Peach, the Dub Sludge, which is a Granny Smith apple, the Galaxy Grenade. That was Jay's go-to for a while there. He loved it. You got shaker bottles. They even have a hydration drink tub that's caffeine free. It just helps you stay hydrated. They got stickers, hats, everything. Guys, don't jump on over to dubby.gg. Get yourself a little bit of a dub. All right? You could use it. I know I can always use the energy with no jitters and no crash after. And when you're there, make sure at checkout you plug in NRWOB10 for 10% off your order. That's NRWOB10 at checkout. Gets you 10% off your order of Dubby Jitterless Energy Blend. So thank you guys for that. Now, and Jay, just the last one. Let's do the last bit of our housekeeping before we move into our main topic.
Absolutely. Well, let's see here. I'm going to do one of these here, Bucks. So I'm going to feature buttons tonight. All right. So get your buttons here. For every order, you get 5 buttons. You can't individually order a button. You're going to have 5 of them, whether you like it or not. Got tons of different designs that are great. Looks like they only come in white, which that's all right. White's all right. Here you go.
Put it on a hat. Put it on your hat or something. I mean, guys,
that's true.
But that's just one of the many things that we sell that we have for sale in our merch store. We have everything from drinkware to shirts and even phone cases. Guys, we got it all.
Absolutely. Face coverings, if you're still into that.
Please don't still be into that.
Socks? There you go.
Okay, now I can get on board with socks. I can get on board with socks.
That's pretty good stuff right there. $17.99. Tell you what. Sweat out those swags. So
make sure you guys get in there, get into the merch store. The link is in the bio below, and show the world that you are NRW Crew. Thank you guys for that. D-Rock asks, is it too early to take a sarcastic drink at the Raiders buffoonery? Absolutely not. I'll drink to that.
Dude, they are such a dumpster fire. It is just...
Hey.
So, Devontae Adams wants nothing to do with them now. Won't even return phone calls that I heard. So Devontae Adams basically is forcing his way out. And
he hasn't even played a snap for them yet. That's the best part. Look, we warned, even though I love to see the Raiders in shambles, we warned them when they got all excited about Josh McDaniels is coming to the Raiders. We're like, you're not going to like it.
Nope.
You don't want this as much as you think you do. And sure enough, he shows up and oh my God, it just plummets.
I actually kind of feel bad for Raider fans in this regard. Is when we made the mistake at Josh McDaniels, we had an owner that recognized it and got rid of it, and we got, we purged ourselves because we were able to do it. The Raiders are so cash-strapped as a franchise, they can't afford to fire him. That was a report last year. In the first half of their regular season, they were so bad, but it went out that they financially couldn't afford to hire a new coach to replace him because they can't look for his guaranteed contract. You can't make it up. And this is a team in Vegas.
Yes, it's hilarious.
Of all places.
And I mean, and let's just talk for a second. Former Raiders coach, John Gruden, making his way back into the NFL as an advisor to the Saints.
I'm surprised the NFL okayed that.
I am too. Well, I mean, I think right now he's just acting in an advisory position, so he's not officially being paid by an NFL franchise.
Consultant-ish.
So, they're using the loophole to get Gruden on the field. I don't like seeing him back in the NFL. Look, I'm not saying that everybody's perfect and that everybody hasn't made mistakes, and some probably the same mistake he did. But it's public knowledge now that he spoke that way about certain people. And I'm sorry, my best friend, co-creator of this network, literally is one of the people he insulted when he did that. And so, it's not okay. And you should, if you've been drummed out, you should stay out, in my opinion.
So stupid. We're far past this as a society. I thought it's just.
I know, we should be. I want us to be. We should be. I don't know why we're not.
So stupid.
But anyway. All right. Let's see. D-Rock says, I literally had sympathy for the Raiders when I heard they couldn't afford to fire him. Yeah.
Seriously. That's sad to me.
And he also says you have a top-notch impersonation of a 1920s paperboy.
Buttons, get your buttons here. You won't go wrong with this button here, Sonny. Here you go.
I love it. All right, so let's talk about positions of strength and positions of weakness. All right, as a whole, like the position groups.
Okay.
So right now, as it stands, name for you the top position group on this team that is the strongest as a position group.
I don't know how you wouldn't be able to say wide receiver with the amount of horses that we have in the stable. They aren't necessarily the top horses, but for the in totality of the room, the 1 through 6 spot, we've got a hell of a room for wide receivers.
Yeah, we do.
So that's got to be, I think, our deepest room. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, it's in terms of sheer talent. Look, Cortland Sutton's been struggling some. I don't think it's the end for him, but obviously, I've always kind of, well, not always, but for a while now, I've been a bigger proponent of Tim Patrick than I've been Cortland Sutton. He's coming back. And then of course, you can't forget Jerry Jeudy. And I've got some cool stuff to say about Jerry Jeudy later. You can't forget about Jerry Jeudy. I wish KJ Hamler would stay healthy. But we've got some new pieces that I think are going to be very interesting to see in that position.
Yep.
So yeah, probably the strongest position group on this team is definitely the wide receivers.
I agree.
And I think this year Jerry Jeudy buds into a star, an absolute star. Right now, somebody at ESPN are already naming him in the top 10 in the league. I think he could jump to top 5.
I could see that.
He's now. Oh, go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say he's an incredible tool that's never been used correctly. So I trust the smarts of Sean Payton.
Listen, please be careful calling Jerry Jeudy a tool, because if we ever get the chance to get him on the show, I don't want that to come back to him.
Well, he's a weapon.
There you go.
Weapon that has
there you go.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
Lil Jordan, dude, D-Rock. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, Lil Jordan Humphrey.
Yeah, Lil Jordan Humphrey.
I love it.
I was thinking of Lil Sebastian from Parks and Rec, but that's the only thing I could get in my head.
Man, you must be drunk. I'm just kidding. Parks and Rec is an amazing show.
It is.
Yeah, TP, but he says TP will be wide receiver 1, and I kind of agree.
No way. No.
I think he
serious?
could. I think he could. I'm not saying he will be. Look, I'm going to talk about it later in our in one of our special segment. But Sean Payton has already talked about how everybody is starting over from square one in his eyes.
Well, okay.
Everybody's starting from scratch. And I think Tim Patrick could, he had the surest hands and the best catch, I think he could be, Sean Payton building this team around the talents of his players, because that's what he does. If Tim Patrick can come back looking anything like he looked before he got hurt, he could easily be slotted as the wide receiver 1 target.
That would be a big jump for him. That would be a big jump.
It would be a big jump. But I mean, Rod Smith did it.
Yeah. So I think even if he does get a number 1 slot, that doesn't mean he'll get number 1 targets.
True. But there is a difference between the two.
There is.
And it's also going to, of course, be dependent on what's going on in the field at that time.
Sure.
But and D-Rock hits it right here, nail right on the top of the head. The man don't drop balls.
It's true. I mean, he has got those sheer hands.
Which is actually what I'm very excited for Marvin, having Marvin Mims, because Mims does, Marvin Mims had actually the surest hands in college football.
Yep.
So I'm really excited about that too. Okay, so we've talked about the wide receivers being our strongest position.
Yeah.
What is, in your opinion, right now? It's obviously on paper, because so many of things have changed in so many ways.
Yep.
Since last season. But on paper, right now, in your opinion, what is the weakest position group on this team, a defense or offense?
Dude, I still, until I see another name pop up, I do not understand how anyone could be comfortable with Samaje Perine as the only name on this roster, guys. There's no one else. There are no other people coming. Like, Javonte Williams has a jersey on, and that's great. But, when we go to week 1, week 1 of the season, there's no way Javonte Williams is not on a snap count. There's no way.
He was but I mean that's the Sean Payton system. It is he consistently uses multiple running backs. In fact, in the 2000 in their when did they win the Super Bowl? 2009?
Yes, correct.
In their 2009 Super Bowl run, he had 3 running backs each with over 1,000 yards on the season. So,
but I think that's my point. is if we are going to be a run-heavy offense, which history says we are, he says we are, then we have to have some horses in the stable. It reminds me of the old situation we used to have where we had no quarterback, but we were paying 2 wide receivers premium money. It was hey, we've got 2 of the best astronauts on the planet with no space program. That was DT and Emmanuel Sanders. That is where we are right now.
Yeah,
we spent so much money on the offensive line to accomplish a certain goal. But in order to accomplish the goal, you have to.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. How much film of Samaj P. Ryan have you watched?
I have watched quite a bit, and there's not much to see. So I didn't take long.
He's a bruiser.
He's a third down back that has never gotten premium touches in the NFL in volume. He has shown flashes in a yards per carry, but so does a lot of running backs that only get 5 carries a game. It's not a bet I want to place on a playoff caliber team that is going to be leaning on that aspect of their offense to generate everything. Everything's predicated off
that. That's fair. That's fair. D-Rock's coming in saying outside linebacker and offensive tackle in his opinion. Okay. I'm going to actually flip the script a bit in terms of weakness. We agreed on strongest. There's no doubt. It's the wide receiver room.
I agree.
But I'm going to flip the script on who I think is the weakest. And get ready for this. Special teams, period.
Ooh, that's
all right, because I want you to think about this right now. We do not have a set in stone return man. We have a guy who came into big pomp and circumstance being expected to be the guy who still, just like several that were drafted for the same reason before him, hasn't shown us that. So now we have another big competition between a bunch of guys that we don't know if any of them are going to shape up to be great return guys. We just released our Pro Bowl kicker. He gone. We don't have a kicker right now. Okay, so and I mean, how are you going to special teams without a kicker? Granted, again, this is all because it's the off season. All right, mid-off season, we're not even at training camp yet. We will have a kicker before training camp, I guarantee it. But like this show is where are we at right this minute? And right now, the weakest position group, even though it's made up of players at all different types of positions, is special teams. We need a return man. We absolutely need to figure out who our return guy is, and we need a strong one. We absolutely need a kicker. So our specialists, basically, is what I'm saying. Our specialists on special teams. We've got a punter. We've got my boy Riley Dixon back, and I'm very excited about that. I was very excited that we were bringing Riley Dixon back. I mean, I actually,
right? He was a Titan.
Yeah.
I thought so.
But I mean, he was with the Broncos long before that.
Yeah.
So I mean, we need our specialists.
Boy, that's a really under the radar thing, Johnny. That I haven't heard very much on.
Nobody's talked about it. And nobody's talked about it. And I thought about it today, and it hit me. It hit me hard.
It's so important, especially with the type of game that we're going to be seeing in low scoring, run heavy. Every single detail and inch matters in those close games. You miss one kick because you don't have a reliable kicker. I mean, the game could be over. We live and breathe this in Denver. We're used to this.
I agree with
a good kicker.
We talked about this last week too, Shadow. All balls are starting at the 25-yard line. Well, maybe. I mean, I'm kind of hoping some of these guys are going to be like, no, if I'm going to show them that I can catch a ball and run, and not just be wieners about it and be like, oh, fair catch. Plus, I guarantee there will be a rule, just like there is with the punt, that a player has to be within there has to be an opposing player within a certain distance of the returner before he can call fair catch. He can't just look up the field and they're 20 yards away and call fair catch. They have to be within, I would say 10 yards if he's going to call it at a certain point.
It should be, you can't do that inside of 2 minutes. You can't call fair catch.
Something. But either way, I do still think we need a good return man. And it could be Trell. Montrell Washington could be the guy, and obviously no, listen. Obviously, we saw what happens. We saw what happens when Dwayne Stukes puts his hand on a special teams unit. Okay, I mean, it was worse than Tom McMahon, and that's saying something. So, I mean, we're gonna, now we have two guys with over 40 years of being the best special teams callers in the history of the game as our special teams coordinators. Basically, our special teams coordinator and then our assistant to the head coach, who we know he really just hired for his special teams expertise. So we've got those guys, and I think right now, just position wise, that is the weakest link on this team is our special teams at this moment.
That's pretty under the radar, and
I thought so.
Agree with you there. I would agree with you there. I would say, boy, I'm trying to think of another
weak one.
Yeah, like another
outside linebacker. I actually agree with D-Rock.
Boy, I don't know about that. I think we're pretty
okay. I think we're.
Right. It's inexperienced people.
That's why I think we're weak right now.
It's inexperienced.
It has nothing to do with.
I mean, Jonathan Cooper could. You want to talk about people that could absolutely explode and blossom? I mean, he could jump off the page this year wearing that number 0 for the first time in Denver Bronco history. On number 0. I mean, come on.
I mean, no, there was one other Bronco that wore it back in 72, I think.
Really?
I can't remember who it was. He wasn't a starter, and he played on defense. I'm going to have to look it up. It wouldn't be the first time someone's worn 0. There was one other. But it is, it is what it is. But like you said, inexperience, and then D-Rock brings it up here. I was about to say injuries at outside linebacker. It makes me nervous. Randy Gregory, I think, will play, but he's got to stay healthy. We don't have Bradley Chubb anymore. We've seen flashes from the likes of Nick Bonito and Baron Browning, but again, still untested, still unproven. And we saw what happened right after with the injury to Gregory, and then the trading of Chubb. You watched our pass rush literally, statistics wise, plummet off a cliff.
Miss Malik Reed.
Yeah, we do. Now I think this new guy, our new boy, our new linebacker and off-ball linebacker,
Sanders,
Drew Sanders. Yeah, I've been hearing some comparisons for him to Micah Parsons being a very capable threat. Anywhere you put him, outside, inside, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
That's great. We have Zach Allen now bringing the rush from the inside. But again, as far as this team goes and in VJ's system, untested. And so I think we need to add some more depth and maybe not big name, but a solid name.
Yeah. I think so. I guess I look at it like inside linebacker. I think we're good on with the emergence of Sanders to put him with Singleton and Josie. I think we're good as that 3-prong. Mm-hmm. And outside, it's Gregory. It's just health of Gregory, because if Gregory can play games, what a phenomenal talent to slot on that side. But it's just
I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something that might be almost hot take worthy here, Jay. Are you ready?
Uh-oh. Wow, there it is.
If Randy Gregory cannot stay healthy for more than 6 games this season, I am going to view that acquisition on the same level as Jawan James.
Are you serious?
I'm very serious.
Wow.
We paid him big money to come here and save that position, and he has managed to do very little of it.
Oh, you're crazy.
He played in 6 games, but of those 6 games, he sat out several minutes in each one. And then here he is, still rocking the hoodie. He had a surgery that wasn't even terribly invasive to clean up scar tissue to the cartilage, and yet he's still recovering over on the practice field wearing.
You know who he really reminds me of is the oh my gosh, the Javon Clowney.
Jadeveon Clowney?
Jadeveon Clowney is a force to be reckoned with when he wants to play, but it is so obvious that he has 5 plays a game where he's just the best player on the field by far, and that's what I see out of Randy Gregory of like, oh my God, you're like, that's why you keep getting these contracts. That's why, like, you're a coveted, crazy, player. But, like, do we need to pay that for 5 plays a game?
No, we don't.
Like,
and that's why I was very pumped about that acquisition, thinking he was going to come here and shape that up. But like I said, and I get it, pain is pain. It hurts. I live in a constant state of it. I'm a disabled veteran. I live in a constant state of pain. I get it. It sucks. But dude, look, the running back who tore an ACL and a PCL in the same knee and is back coming back less than a year removed from it, is wearing his helmet and running practice drills with the team. You're over on the practice field rocking a hoodie, tossing a ball back and forth right now. You had a minor arthroscopic surgery to remove cartilage scarring in your knee.
Are you
Arthroscopic.
serious?
That's an incision this big, buddy. Okay? If that. All right? I'm nervous about Gregory now. I wasn't. And when everybody else was saying, I don't know if I like this pick, I was on board. Right now, I've had a bit of a change of heart, and I am nervous about Randy Gregory.
Yeah. No, I
Have I told you that before?
Yeah, you did. Shut up.
I did. Because I've never liked Randy Gregory. You want to know why?
Because of that.
Drum roll, please.
He's a Nebraska Cornhusker.
Oh, that's why. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so you know what? I think with that, we need to talk a little bit about quotes.
Yeah.
And if only we had a segment specially created for talking about things that people have said. Oh, wait a minute.
Damn it, Johnny!
What did he say?
Too many damn it Johnnies in there.
Yeah, you overdid it. You overdid it there, buddy.
Too many damn it's.
Too many damn it's, damn it. I love it. All right, so let's talk a little bit about some things that are coaches, players, people have said in regards to the Broncos in the last week or so, because there's been some fun ones and there's been some good ones. So if you don't mind, I'll go first with this one. This one is a quote. I'm going for it. I'm going for it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So this one is one I pulled. Now, and I have the quote direct, so I'm not paraphrasing this. These are, excuse me, I burped some beer up there.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh beer.
Oh dear.
Oh beer. Okay. So this is Jerry Jeudy. This is a quote from Jerry Jeudy when asked about who the toughest defensive back he has ever faced is. And I loved his answer. I absolutely loved his answer. Straight up, he said, and I quote, Pat, as in Patrick Surtain, is the best DB I've ever gone against, ever. Because when I go against DBs, you can just tell. You beat them a couple of times easy. Pat, you really got to think like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. You can't play around with him too much. The man is different. He's long. He's smart. He's fast. Now, granted, you got to remember, too, Jerry Jeudy and Patrick Surtain came up in Alabama together. So they have faced off with each other for a very long time in practice. But he's still saying, like, of all the defensive backs he's faced, none give him more trouble than Patrick Surtain. Which, I mean, I don't think it's a question. Patrick Surtain, in my opinion, is inarguably the best cornerback in the NFL. Right now, he's being listed in the top 3. I think he's the number 1. But regardless, I love hearing that, that kind of support from a teammate. Because a lot of these guys would be like, oh, I remember going against blah, 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 and that guy shut me down. No, he's like, no, the dude on my own team, I only go against him in practice, and I hate it because he's too good. You know, like that's cool, man. I like that quote. So there you go. Jerry Jeudy on Pat Surtain. That's a fun quote.
That's a good one, man. That's a really good one because it's inside knowledge. Not necessarily that I like take tons of stock in Jerry Judy's opinion on much, but like in things like how to cover himself in drills and whatnot, I will go with that, and I'll trust that he knows because I mean he's Jerry freaking Jeudy. Like he is a legend when it comes to off-season foot drills and whatnot. Like he's fast.
Yeah, and the one-handed catch.
Well, that's true. So mine's a little different. Mine's not a player. Mine's more of a Sean Payton quote, more of a Sean Payton putting that culture out, relating it kind of like the Nuggets, like what we were speaking about earlier. Because on the contrary of where I think the NBA is more player-focused, player-driven, the number one player on your team kind of sets the culture in the NBA. The NFL,
that's the type of sport that it has to be.
True. The NFL is more obviously team-based because you got over 50 people, right? So, like, there's obviously a lot more hands in the cookie jar. And the head coach is a big, big thing of that. Yes, the player is quarterback, but, like, sometimes on a team, like a football team, like your head coach puts it out there for everyone, all sides of the ball, coaches, everyone. It's the CEO of the team. And for him to step out and put out the rules he did for the local media, one of his quotes being, "Hey guys, I know you're upset about like the recent media
blackout
stipulations that I'm putting on practices and whatnot, but I gave you all of the rookies for over an hour that you could grill and do whatever you want with. And all I did was take away your little Twitter during practice. So I think it was an even split." That's essentially in a nutshell his quote. And what it represents is such a stark contrast to what we had been experiencing with past regimes in this franchise.
Well, especially this last regime for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, Hackett was definitely, "Hey, you want to go have a drink? Queso? Like, you want to go get some margs?" Like, he wanted to be friends with everyone. Vic just was a grumpy old man, didn't, really want to do anything. And
kind of do whatever you want.
Yeah. VJ was just, "Oh my God,
Just
you
stay
guys
out of
want to
my
ask
way.
me a question? You guys want to talk to me? That's awesome."
Yeah.
Like,
So but I agree. It shows the tone that he's setting with
yes,
his
it's a big
culture
deal.
as the head coach. He's
It
saying we are I get you guys are fans. I get you guys want to know, but you don't need to know.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
Coming from a military background, need to know was a big deal. Why are we going on this mission? You don't need to know that. Just nod and say yes.
Yep.
And Sean Payton saying, "I know y'all want to know. I know you've gotten used to knowing, but I'm telling you, this is my team. We are doing what we're doing, getting ready for the season, and you don't need to know anything about it."
Yep.
When it comes time for us to take that field on Sunday, Monday, Thursdays, Sundays, and Mondays, you'll know.
So that is, if there is not one thing that points to what coaching tree Sean Payton is from, it is that. And you know what that is? That is Bill Parcells.
Bill Parcells,
100%. Through and through.
Yeah,
old school.
Old school. You don't need to know. You'll see the product on the field in September.
Bill Parcells is a military family. Bill Parcells is what he grew up in.
That's why I tell my children. That's why I tell my children, "Daddy, why are we going? Where are we going? Don't worry about it."
I want to say Bill Parcells was Navy. I want to say, but
we can't all be perfect, but
some branch. But like that's how he constructs himself, and so it'll be very interesting to see how long it takes for us to really see the impact from a player personnel standpoint. Because you really think someone like Jerry Jeudy's going to take that the same way as maybe someone like Justin Simmons? Probably not.
But they also need to be aware that if they choose not to take it, they're gonna they might lose playing time for it.
It's true. It is very true.
It's called again military. It's called discipline. Learn it.
Yep.
You ain't got to like it. You ain't got to like it. You ain't got to agree with it. Just smile, nod, and say, yes, sir.
Yep.
That is my job. His job is to tell you what to do. Your job is to do it. We're about to run over on time, and I've still got one thing to talk about, but I want to bring this up. I want to bring this up. As a lower enlisted, before I was a team leader, things like that. As a private, I got told by one of my senior NCOs, being a private in the Army is the easiest job in the world. Which, of course, we all know it's not. But what he's talking about is all you have to do, you don't have to think about anything. You don't have to make decisions. You don't have to think about a thing. You show up at the right time, at the right place, in the right uniform, and then just do what you're told.
That's what I say to my children.
That's it. Right time, right place, right uniform, and then do what you're told. It is the simplest job. He is the commanding officer. You are these guys are his soldiers. Do what he says. Yeah. You'll be fine. It's that simple. All right. Moving on to the last quote, if that's all right with you.
Yeah.
This is this is another Sean Payton thing. This has to do with the I have said it before, and finally we have some validation as to what I've been saying. How in his eyes, every single player, every single one is fighting for their job. That nobody's walking into this season the undisputed starter. That he is going to review every single player at every single position through this offseason, and he is going to build his team by who he thinks earns their job. And basically, to start this quote, I'm going to paraphrase this part of it because this quote was split. But to paraphrase the beginning part of this quote, basically he says, the past doesn't matter. I don't care where you come from. I don't care what you've done. You're going to have to show me here and now. And then he goes on to say, basically they said that during his very first meeting with the rookies, he showed them how he's going to be evaluating every player. He put it up on the screen. He put it up on a big screen and said, now there can be no confusion. You will know from the very beginning, this is how I'm grading you. So don't screw it up. Basically, he said, we put up a slide, how you're being evaluated. So it's important. I would want to know that. We try to talk all the time about a vision when we come up with players. Even when we draft players, what's the vision? What's the year one vision? God bless you. What's the year two vision? How? God bless you. That's 2 for me. You don't get any more than that. You sneeze again, your soul is screwed. What's the year one vision? What's the year two vision? How do we see this player? A lot of stress, and we understand that, but we kind of want to put the numbers in front of them. But what he literally is saying is, I don't care if your name is Russell Wilson. I don't care if your name is Marvin Mims. I don't care if you're a 9-time Pro Bowl, Super Bowl winning quarterback, or a rookie drafted wide receiver. Every single person will be evaluated in this offseason, and this team will be built around the best players at each position possible. That's why he brought in Jarrett Stidham as our backup quarterback, because he believes that Jarrett Stidham has the potential to be a starter in this league. So if Russ doesn't earn this job, well, he, at least in Sean Payton's eyes, there's a competent replacement. I think if Russ is fighting for his job, should he avoid throwing towards PS2 side of the field? No, because one, you want to iron sharpens iron. They're going to want him throwing passes to that side of the field anyway, so that Pat can continue to hone his craft. On top of it, Russ wants to compete with the best. He wants to show he can complete the pass over the top of Pat Surtain. Well, anybody could go out there and complete a pass over our number 6 cornerback's head, but to complete one over the head of our number 1, that's going to show more than just,
Well, and if you rephrase the question you're asking, D-Rock, if if Russ is fighting for his job, should he want to avoid throwing to his number one wide receiver on the field? No.
That's a great way to put it.
No.
Because the number one cornerback's going to cover the number one wide receiver, and you got to throw to your best.
Yes, you do.
So,
fire with fire.
I agree. So, hey, you know what? That does it for us. It's an hour and 5 minutes, and I have to get the crotch goblins to bed. So, guys, this has been a fun episode of Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast here on the Orange and Blue Network. Don't forget to tune in every Tuesday night at 87654. My apologies. To catch us live every Tuesday. Orange and Blue Hour is still up and coming, so be on the lookout for that. Don't forget to be also looking out for The Fresh Squeeze, which is our breaking news show, and The Blitz, which is a breakdown show done by our very own Isaiah Henderson. You're such a jerk.
One more.
Guys, do not forget this Thursday evening, tip-off, Denver Nuggets. First time in the finals, baby. Let's beat Miami Heat and walk away with that big, beautiful trophy. All right? This has been a lot of fun. Jay, I hope you have a great week, cuz.
You too, man.
And just know, no matter how drunk you get, I will be texting and or calling you constantly during the finals. So
yes.
Keep your freaking phone in your pocket, okay?
Oh, it's going to happen.
All right, guys. We love you guys. We thank you for joining us on this episode. The last thing we have to say is 100% just go get bucked. All right, guys. We're out of here. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.